So geographically, we are expanding now in a number of places. As I said, we are in the main economies, so to say, with Asia and Americas and Europe. We will further expand. We have a lot of plans on additional offices there. We are about to open new offices in other Asian countries, and we also have a few more plans in Europe as well as in America. So that's that. Then in terms of industries, I mean, aviation is a big industry that in your very good list already was missing. We see a lot of potential in aviation. The so-called aircraft on ground, AOG, that's a very important element, of course. That's the prototype of our requirements. Yeah, an aircraft is standing and it's not moving. That's always bad. So an urgent part is required. That's typical timematters.
This is the conversation series that we are bringing from Air Cargo China in Shanghai. And with me in conversation is Bernhard Strassen. Bernhard is the CEO and Managing Director of timematters. Bernhard, great to have you for this conversation.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks very much.
Bernhard, tell us about timematters, which is almost 20 plus years. What are some of the recent development in timematters, and what are your interest in the Chinese market or Asian region?
So timematters is a specialized forwarder for time-critical shipments. So our customers have typically urgent needs for deliveries that go beyond what other companies in the forwarding industry can do. They can be critical spare parts, they can be critical medical devices, they can be up to stem cells or cord blood, diplomatic mail, everything that is particularly urgent or that needs a particular high quality of delivery. That's what timematter stands for. So, and we have a global setup of offices. We operate out of Europe. We have offices in Asia, in China, in Singapore. We have offices in Americas. And of course, China, as being a big market, both import as export, it's also a big market for us. China, I think I read now somewhere they have around 30% of the industrial output. And that, of course, with that also there's a need for urgent shipments. And that's where timematters come into the game. So whatever becomes urgent, may be urgent or should not be urgent, that is exactly where timematters supports. And we have not only our own team here, and by the way, we are celebrating 5 years of own legal entity now with timematters this year. So 24 is our 5th anniversary. But we are also growing within China. So we have now established another office in South China. But even more importantly, just this week, we inaugurated our new terminal, courier terminal at Pudong Airport. So it's the first type of this kind here. It's a courier terminal that allows us even faster import and export processes with comparable to a fast lane. Fast lane, when you check in and you're allowed to go the fast lane to go through security. And that's the same with our courier terminal. So with that, we will be able to serve our customers here in China and Hong Kong and South China even more and even faster.
Do you have similar terminals, courier terminals elsewhere in the world?
That's a good question. Yes, we do indeed. Since we're operating since 2004 already, since 20 years almost, courier terminals in other places, mainly in Frankfurt and Munich, so on the German side. So now we can even deliver from an important lane from Germany to Shanghai. We can have now on both sides our own courier terminal handling. And we will increase those courier terminals around the world going forward.
If I were to ask you to quantify what is that improvement in terms of delivery because you have a specific courier terminal, it basically enhances the speed, how much would that be, having your own terminal and not having your own terminal?
The type of shipments that we handle, we talk about hours. Yeah, so it's important to gain hours. An aircraft is not flying faster because our cargo is on. So we have to gain the time in the origin and destination processes.
On ground.
Exactly. And these courier terminals, for example, here in Pudong and at the airport, it takes out up to 2/3 of the time that it takes for any other shipment. We take out 2/3, so a couple of hours, 4 to 6 hours out of the import or export process. So it really depends if you import or export. So significant, 2/3 less time is significant. And it's not only the speed, it's also the quality. Because with our own handling, with our own X-ray, it's a very fast, let's say, procession through but we also have an own monitoring. We have apron access, so we can also make sure that with our own staff, we monitor that the shipment is really being delivered to the aircraft and being shipped, uplifted and everything. So that gives us even better quality. It's speed and quality.
What would be the cutoff time for probably a life science product that needs to get onto an aircraft? What is the minimum cutoff time that you require?
It's between 1.5 and 2 hours we need before. So of course there's sometimes not so easy to influence times with the customs process, but even there we have now a more integrated process. So, but yeah, it's, let's say, a lot later than the normal cargo. If you ever been to Pudong, there's at the peak times there begins to form long lines of trucks, delivery trucks getting into. So it takes long to get there. And that is something with our fast track. You go straight through. We receive the cargo and push it through our own channel.
Looking at different types of cargo that you carry on, basically onboard courier, people carrying it, hand carrying it, automotive, life science, spare parts. What is that particular segment which has the highest volume?
Well, the question is how you measure volume. So for us, we talk about individual shipments. So every shipment for us is high attention. Yeah. So we don't consolidate the goods because then we lose time. So that's each shipment is for us important. So, high volume means a lot of stem cells. You mentioned there will be stem cell couriers. But of course, volumes in terms of shipment and weight and everything, you often see industrial shipments, automotive shipments, spare parts important, or sometimes if there's a threat of a line down or prototypes or shortages of material, then it may be for a certain time also weight and number of shipments. But actually a single shipment is important, so we also transport lenses. You're wearing glasses, I do as well normally. So this is something we do. Or dental, we have a lot of dental customers where we will produce even very small parts for the teeth. And this is number of shipments where it counts. Yeah? But of course, if you talk about medical devices, we talk about spare parts for larger X-ray machines, or then also for production, for example, for customers in the energy segment, sometimes it's also bigger spare parts. Yeah? So the size is not the challenge. The challenge always for our customers is speed and delivery quality. Yeah? So very high quality of what we do.
Where do you see the biggest growth?
Geographically?
Geographically as a category wise.
So geographically, we are expanding now in a number of places. As I said, we are in the main economies, so to say, with Asia and Americas and Europe. We will further expand. We have a lot of plans on additional offices there. We are about to open new offices in other Asian countries, and we also have a few more plans in Europe as well as in America. So that's that. Then in terms of industries, I mean, aviation is a big industry that in your very good list already was missing. We see a lot of potential in aviation. The so-called aircraft on ground, AOG, that's a very important element, of course. That's the prototype of our requirements. Yeah, an aircraft is standing and it's not moving. That's always bad. So an urgent part is required. That's typical timematters. But even if the economy is going up and down and a certain fluctuation, there's always requirements for some urgent parts. The line shortages or material shortages always happen, regardless of the economical situation. You have more resilient topics like the whole pharma life science, where we also do a lot. Medical devices, I mentioned, stem cells, it's irrespective of where the economy is at the moment. Yeah? So it's also resilient from that point of view.
Where do you see semiconductor and in the event of AI becoming a major component in the technology space?
Semiconductor is for sure a very interesting industry for us, as well as the whole high tech, because there's an additional element, and that's the value of the actual cargo. Yeah? So it's very precious. It's because the material value is very high, and that in itself, of course, triggers also the need sometimes for urgent and high quality, high performance logistics. And then timematters comes into the game. So semicon is certainly also an industry that we are pursuing.
Tell us, what is the life of an onboard courier in a day? 24 hours moving from Pudong to probably LA.
So I think number one is being flexible. So, it may not happen for a while. And then all of a sudden, whatever you do, all of a sudden you get the request on your phone, urgent needed from AA to Pudong. Yeah. So you need to be available. So if you're in the area, our database of couriers is worldwide. So we know exactly where it's located. So if you need it from Los Angeles, so we have our day, we contact a number of related couriers that could be available, and then you have to react. So whoever reacts fastest, then they get the job. I mean, these couriers, particularly in the stem cell world, they are very qualified. They are trained. It's not random people. Yeah? So they are checked, background checked. They get training and preparation, and in general, but as well for each shipment. So they confirm. They come to the pickup location. They get handed in the stem cell world. They get handed a little courier, a carrier, basically where they can later put on the tri-ice, the stem cell in a tri-ice container. And then they have to go to the origin, basically where the donor is. Yeah. And that is typically a hospital as well. And they go there, pick up the stem cell, and then fastest way to the airport, and off they go. We have to make sure that we also have to backup option. Yeah. So of course, if something goes wrong, flight delayed or whatever, so that there's an alternative booking. So we always have a backup booking available. And then they go there and by the fastest way from the arrival through customs go to the patient, because this is life-saving, literally. Yeah? So there's a patient who is in need of a stem cell. You don't want to waste any time. And that's where the education is very good, very important, where they know what to do, where they have to go, and all of that is extremely important. And then you go there, you are received. It's a very smooth and easy handover. The focus is on the patient, yeah. So it's not glorious, but it's very efficient and very productive. So you come, you have your container there's already there prepared, and then off you go into the surgery, basically. So do you? But it's very rewarding ultimately, because you do something really life-saving, yeah. And there's often afterwards a lot of credit. Also, smooth transport, I think that you don't have in many other transports, So typically you only hear if something goes wrong, but seldomly you get the credit. But here as an onboard courier for a stem cell, you also get credit because it's life-saving.
So you have your own onboard courier staff, and then you work with third-party service providers who are part of your vendor list. Is that correct?
The onboard couriers are not on our pay list. Yeah? So no, these are registered, but call them freelance. Sometimes they are retired airline staff, retired pilots even, people who know the airline and the travel industry very well. It's important that they have clean passports and everything, that they can travel wherever we need them to travel. So they are experienced also in traveling, but they are not on our payroll.
What is the biggest challenge in this industry for you? Do you have sleepless nights when you have like an important shipment on its way to a destination somewhere in North America?
Actually, that runs so well that doesn't give us sleepless nights. The funny thing is, or maybe it's not so funny, but in a way, sleepless I get when everything runs smooth in the world economy, which is never the case. Because why is it? Any type of disruption, any type of challenge in global supply chains, that's actually an opportunity for us. What we do with timematters, we actually support. We are a tool in the toolbox for companies to have a more resilient supply chain. If they know I have a challenge in my supply chain, I need a spare part, I need this and that, I need to avoid the line stop at my customer, they can call timematters, and we come with NFO, the next flight out, we come with an onboard courier, we come with a charter, whatever is required, we help them. So if everything would run smoothly around the world, then I would become sleepless, because then there's no need for our business. But luckily it's not happening.
Yeah. Global supply chain disruptions are like, now it's an everyday case. So there is a potentially a great business case for you. Bernhard, my last question, what's the rate of growth that you see for timematters in the next 2 years?
Well, we have ambitious goals. With what I just said, a bit in a cheeky way, but I think there's a lot of business out there. Of course, there's also competition out there, but we are very confident with our product offering that we differentiate very much from what our competition does. We are not afraid of pricing and competitiveness in terms of pricing, but even better, in terms of speed and service quality, I think we are leading. So we have ambitious goals, and we will increase our sales significantly. And over the next 2 years, I don't want to put numbers to it, but we are just preparing our strategy, and we are not talking about a 5% or 10% growth, but we have much more ambitious goals.
What would be some of your potential markets where you want to expand?
That's a good question. So we will increase our number of courier terminals. For sure, we are looking into places like Mexico. We are looking into also the Middle East as the next step. We still have some places in Europe where we would like to increase our own presence with own offices, because ultimately it's the strength of our own people at the ground where we have the full end-to-end process. Yeah? If we handle it, like I mentioned, from Frankfurt to PVG to Pudong here, if we handle it with our own process, that's where we cannot be beaten. We are fast, we are reliable, we have a high quality, and we are competitive. And that is the aim, to have more of that setup in the world, because that gives us a competitive edge.
Bernhard, thank you so much for talking to us, and great pleasure having you in this conversation series.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.